Friday.
Friday.
Yay. So you asked me what I'd been up to, through the week.
Yeah.
And I have been practicing what I preach, which, I think is very important and a cornerstone for everyone who wants to be in the coaching biz, or a mentor of any sort, is, you know what? You never ask someone to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself, right? You got to front up and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So what I've been practicing this last week and a bit more is being in the moment and, really controlling my thoughts in the moment, because it's school holidays at the minute. And I found I was getting really pissy with not being able to do, or not having the freedom, I guess, to do everything I wanted to do from a business perspective, because, Lord help me, I had to be a mum. Gosh.
Terrible.
Terrible. And, and I knew, yes, I could have continued to do business stuff. However, I also knew that it wouldn't be to the standard I was wanting, because, I'm mumming as well, full-time mumming. And so I found I was getting really pissy at this, and I'd be sitting down, not engaging with Harrison because I'm pissed off. And I'm still not doing any of my actual work because I'm telling myself, can't even do my work. So I'm sitting in this moment, really just feeling like crap. And I had to stop and say, okay, well, what's the point of this? What's the point of that, of feeling like that? And what am I achieving by sitting here feeling like that?
Yeah.
So this week, I've really been practicing empowering, I guess, myself in each moment. Instead of, we're talking about scales, weren't we, Adam? Instead of looking at everything that I should be doing or could be doing or want to be doing, everything that I don't have, what about focusing on everything I actually do have, which was the gift of being able to be at home with my son. There's plenty of people who don't necessarily have that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I have that opportunity. We have beautiful, weather here and parks and things to go and see and do. And thankfully, I have the health and energy to take, my 6-year-old out to do things. So what about, that stop and smell the roses kind of thinking? I really had to practice that, Adam, because as quick as I would remind myself, there's this automatic pilot that would come in and say, yeah, but, and start getting all pissy again.
Yeah.
It was a real tug of war I was having, Thoughts? Discuss?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were carrying on. Yeah, look, it's and like I said, I had the same thing, and it's something that everybody does, right? They have that moment of like, and I mentioned the book, Psycho-Cybernetics by, I got the name wrong, by the way. It's actually Maxwell Maltz, Mr. Maltz, Dr. Maltz. Now, and that the concept of that book talks about the autopilot, and really it's based on it's the emphasis on the power of visualization and imagination. So, and really, so like self-esteem and self-image. Because so this week, so you've been playing. Is what part are we playing? What image do we have? What's our identity? And you've got several, right? You've got your business persona, you got your mum persona, and they're both very different, right? So you got because find a balance between the two. But it's that sort of what I got reminded of in my week was, I didn't have a strong enough picture in my mind of my desired outcome. Because when you have that, nothing gets in the way. It doesn't matter what it is. Do you know what I mean? So it's 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 the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind. Sorry, I prefer unconscious. Well, prefer unconscious in general, but but it's about sort of stimulating that unconscious mind to, what's the word I'm looking for? Harmonize with what it is we're trying to achieve. You know, so
Mm.
so it's that, what I found is it's if I haven't planned for things and really set a cool out a real outcome for the day, then I find I'm getting yanked all over the place. But
Yeah.
if it's clear, then
Yeah.
your intention's strong enough, then
Mm.
wild horses wouldn't get in the way.
Yeah, it's going without a map, isn't it? If you don't have a clear outcome, this is where I'm heading. This is what the finish line looks like. If you don't know what that looks like,
Yeah,
of course you're going to be going down all sorts of bloody dead end streets, and you're going to be all over the place, aren't you? Because you do
100%.
not have a clear path. I was actually talking about this in the Talk Train group this morning. I was talking about motivation, because it's funny about themes, isn't it?
Yeah,
People I was talking to were saying things like, "Oh, Ali, I just don't have any motivation at the moment. I'm lacking motivation, yada yada yada." And so I started thinking about that, and I did a piece in the group about motivation. We can get motivated for anything. I can be motivated to make myself a cup of coffee in the morning. The motivation is really actually just about directing your energy to achieve the outcome.
yeah,
That's it. So if your outcome that you want is some peace and quiet to yourself so that you can sit on the couch and finish watching that series, you better believe you'll be motivated to do it. However,
100%.
the formula that it requires is the visual and the kinesthetic. If where
Yeah,
either of those is missing, then you are not going to be motivated to achieve the outcome. So you've got to have the
absolutely.
picture, which is what you were talking about, that clear picture of what the outcome looks like.
Yeah,
And then it must be coupled with a feeling, a positive feeling of what it feels like to achieve that.
exactly right. Because it's everything. So this oh, I'm like peddling this book this morning. I should get commission.
Yeah.
But it's one of my favorite books. And I'm going to reread it most definitely. It's about it's self-esteem.
Mm,
When I used to talk to people about building wealth, it all ties back to self-image. What image have you built of yourself, or have you been programmed because of your environment and all
mm,
that stuff? So having that healthy self-image means getting rid of um, limiting beliefs. As we talk about in neurology code, getting rid of those limiting beliefs, limiting decisions that we've picked up along the way, overcoming any past failures that we've had, and really starting to talk to yourself in a much more positive way. Positive affirmations. Um, the argument is that when you really dive into that strong sense of self-worth,
mm.
you can overcome any obstacle, or and really blow out your potential big time, like in a good way. I mean, in all areas of life, because so you won't be procrastinating. Because in a lot of times we just it's procrastination. We're sitting
Yeah.
there going, oh, sitting there pissed off with ourselves. It's like, well, you just wasted 30 minutes doing that. You could have done X, Y, Z in 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, that
And having
procrastination is one of the formula missing, though, isn't it?
exactly, and that's a coping. Really, procrastination is a coping mechanism. Um, it's general sort of excuses. It's just excuses, isn't it? Results versus excuses.
Mm,
Which is the more. I mean, you know, what I'm not saying to you is, well, it's excuses. Being a mum and a 5-year-old, gorgeous little 5-year-old running around going, mum, mum, mum. I mean, it's the best excuse in the world, right? You
It's
know, to
pretty
not be
good.
to not be doing it. But it's, you know, everything in balance. You know, you are a mum and you are also a businesswoman. You know,
Mm, mm.
my I've got a 5-year-old excuse. Well, I've got a little 7-year-old and a 3-year-old doggy, but
They're your
they're
babies.
not so demanding. But it's about balance and like we're talking about, you know, what's the outcome that we want to have? What do we need to do to set ourselves up for success so we're not getting blown around in the wind?
Yeah, yeah. And perhaps that's also when we talk about excuses. You know, so often we say, oh, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. How about just owning,
Yeah,
yeah, you know what? I'm not doing as much in my business right now because I've made a choice
yeah,
that I'm going to focus on X, Y, Z.
yeah,
And the minute you own that, you know, instead of wanting a free pass from people, or it's about starting to not give a shit what other people think. Run your own race
yeah,
and make your choice of what you're going to focus on,
yeah.
then get
Validate yourself.
motivated.
Don't tell other
Yeah,
people so they can validate your own bullshit.
exactly. I love that. Validate yourself and then set yourself up with, okay, well, what do I want to achieve? If I've chosen that I'm going to spend the afternoon with Harrison, what do I want to achieve? And then do the formula, get the visual of what it's going to look like, develop the feelings, the kinesthetics of what it's going to look, you know, feel like.
Yeah,
And then without a doubt, the motivation to get it done comes with it.
absolutely. And it's about changing the routine as well. I noticed. You know, I noticed I'd got into a habit of, um, you know, other half would get up and go off to work,
Mm.
and that would all be done, you know, 9:15. Um, we don't do judgment here, but I'd let the dogs in, have a little cuddle for a minute, but really that would get to 10 a.m. and then I'd be getting up and stuff. And I was like, I mean, that's the best morning in the world,
That's
but
gorgeous. Yeah.
actually so unproductive. It's unreal, you know, 'cause I'm a morning person. You know, and so many times that little kind of escapade and having a little cuddle with the doggies and whatever, that could go till 12 on something.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, oops, and then that's half the day, you know. Like massive things could have been achieved by then. So actually, I found getting up at the same time, making the bed, you know, putting a wash on, you know, like, you know, doing those things, having a shower, putting clean clothes on, getting dressed. You're like, you're not going to go back to bed at that point. You'd be,
Mm.
you know, maybe there should be some room for judgment if you did do,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, you know, at that point. But then you're set up and ready for the day. So
Yeah.
you know, doing those little things and changing that morning routine breaks the habit
That's
because
it. You want
you'll
to interrupt it, don't you?
interrupt the pattern. Yeah, exactly.
If the
So
pattern
if you
is
are
not,
procrastinating, you'll
yeah,
find there's some bullshit pattern around it. Oh, I'll do it in a minute. I'll just sit down and have this cup of tea. No, why don't you go and do it and then have a cup of tea as a reward? You
mm,
know, like
mm.
change, flip it on its head a little bit. Just making those little changes will start to, and then repetitively doing them will build a new habit, and eventually, hopefully, that'll be a more positive kind of outcome to get shit done, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think when you end up in a rut, you know, which often people do, we end up in a rut of some sort in something, whether it be our
Yeah.
job, our personal life, our relationship, whatever. When we end up in a rut, it's that we've lost sight of the purpose. We've lost sight of again, what's going to motivate us, direct our energy to it, you know?
Yeah,
So when you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm just going to sit down and have this cup of tea, perhaps some of it is asking, well, what's the purpose of that?
exactly.
What am I achieving here? And let's not bullshit ourselves.
Yeah,
What I want to achieve here is I'm putting off doing, you know, something else.
yeah,
Stop lying to yourself. Let's actually get to the truth and
million
decide.
percent.
And I love what it seems to fit in with everything. That saying you say about responsibility, Adam. What is that one?
Um,
I've put you on the spot now.
you mean the one about choices?
Yeah, you know, yes, and that
Oh yeah, we're free to choose, but we're not free from the consequences of our choices.
yes, that's the one. I
My
love that.
favorite. It's my favorite.
And it fits in with everything. even in this, what we're talking about today, you know, I had a choice of to whether to sort of put Harrison just in front of the TV, and the TV becomes his nanny for the week, and I carry on, you know, doing my 9 to 5 in my office here, working on the biz. That's a choice. However, I chose to not do that. I chose to be more present.
Yeah.
As a mum
It's
in
actually
this,
I mean, school holidays out of the year is only a small
yeah,
fraction, right?
yeah,
So, you know, and it's good to have that family time, you know, because, well, you know, he won't be 5 again, will he?
exactly. Yep, exactly. So make your choice and take responsibility for where that choice ends up, and understanding that the responsibility for the outcome, let's not jump straight to a negative outcome.
Yeah,
When things go really well, pat yourself on the back as well and say, yeah, I chose that, and look
exactly.
what I've done.
I mean, to quote another meme, you know, the plan can change 1,000 times, but never change the goal. You know, so once you focus on when you focus on the outcome, you'll get there by hook or by crook. And so, okay, fine, you have to go right and left more times than you thought. But
Yeah,
you know, because you can never go in a straight line, can you? So, well,
that would
sometimes,
just be
but
far too easy.
yeah, exactly. But you know, it's like how are you perceive? It's always linked to how are you perceiving yourself.
Mm,
What's that perception of yourself, you know, self-worth, da da da, all that other, you know, getting rid of those limiting beliefs and limiting decisions as we work with everybody in the neurology code. You know,
mm,
you know, really helping people understand what has been driving them up to this point, so they can change it and really tap into that, you know, inherent potential. And, you know, we're all human, we all do it. You know, it's nobody's a robot, but you know, we just need to, like you said at the very beginning, it's about practicing, isn't it? And you
yeah.
know, really being in the moment is always much better. So if you're in the future, you'll end up depressed about stuff because you know,
Well, in the
but
future leads to anxiety because it's an open
anxiety.
loop.
Sorry, depression is past, anxiety is future,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly. Yeah.
it's like, well, it hasn't happened yet. You direct it all, so it's like, you know, suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah. And actually, I love what you said, you know, about when we have people who go through the neurology code course, it's really about learning who you are and how you think so that you can direct your energy to get the outcome you want.
Massively.
So, and that excites me. And, you know, that's what you and we
And,
practice daily, don't we?
amazing things happen. You know, people completely change direction,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, it's such a gorgeous thing to see.
Right.
So
Love
yeah,
it. I love it. All right. Let's wrap
it's a
this
wrap.
bad boy up today. This has been
All right,
awesome. Thank you, Adam, again,
thank
always.
you.
And I'll see you next week, sunshine.
All right, Dal.
Bye for
See you
now.
soon. Bye.